Hello there, Internet. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. Thanks for clicking on this one. My name is Pat Dan, and today we are here with Professional Club 8137 on r/Reddit gets drawn badly. They say have at it with a little drawing hand emoji. We got a little cat photo. We got a little outdoors photo. We got a little white background. Oh, taken at the same exact location. I didn't even realize this. Exact same location, two different outfits. You'd love to see it. This one, it's got that like dynamic pose vibe. We're gonna try and do our best. It's super interesting to me how, I don't know, this looks like a super dynamic pose, like when you're seeing it within the context of the photo, right? But then when you think about it, it's like, really, what is she actually doing? She's just like doing the simplest like twist of the shoulders and like looking upwards. Like, it's not that dynamic in the grand scheme, but like when just observed in a vacuum in a photograph, it's like, this is like a JoJo's pose. Like, this is crazy. This is like as dynamic as it gets. It's kind of interesting. I am very, very, very excited. As you can tell, I'm about to leave for my trip that I was talking about earlier. I think good things are coming. I really hope good things are coming. I'm geared up, ready to go, you know, as some people on occasion may be. Anyways, I just wanted to film a quick little video right here and see if I can't get some MS painting done. The thing with recording these videos for sure is like, I really, well, first and foremost, I really, really enjoy like doing these MS Paint portraits. Like, it's genuinely super fun in a way that I didn't expect for me. And I'm like finding myself surprised at how much I actually like doing it, right? Like, it's kind of crazy fun. However, there is a however, unfortunately. However, the fact that for these videos, not only do I have to like draw, but I also have to give commentary, it like adds a second layer to it. And I don't think it's necessarily 100% bad, like, right? Like, I enjoy doing the commentary too. The commentary has its own, you know, fun moments as well. I think what is hard about that is that sometimes I'll be in a mindset of like, yes, I want to record, but I don't like actually want to record. Like, I don't want to go through the whole process of all that entails. I really just want to like do an MS Paint portrait, and I'll be like, yes, I want to record, but realistically, I just want to draw. And I'm like, but if I'm going to do like an MS Paint thing, I might as well be recording it. So like, it's a waste of time if I'm not. So I have to record. And then I'm like, okay, but then I have to do commentary, and then I have to do all this. And then I just end up like sitting in front of my laptop with OBS open, like not recording for like, I don't know, like an hour or two. And I eventually just like, something comes up and I'm like, okay, I'm saved by the bell here. I can move on and do something different. But it is kind of, I gotta kind of push myself to record these a little bit, which I think it's not like a new development. That's kind of how it's been since like the start. But it's interesting, like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's interesting that it's not like a lack of desire. Like, I enjoy all aspects of it. It's just like trying to find the place where the desire to commentate and draw like coincide in my current like interests at any given moment. Like, you know, where I feel like I have one particular thing that I feel like doing right now, right? Like, sometimes you get a hankering, like maybe you're hungry and you're like, I feel like I want to eat like McDonald's right now. Like, I just have I have a desire for McDonald's. I kind of feel like I get that for like activities where I'm like, I have this one specific thing I want to do. And sometimes that thing is drawing, sometimes that thing is commentating. It's not all the time that those like are lined up, and they need to be lined up for me to be in like the ideal perfect headspace to be filming these. So it's pretty interesting. Just a little, you know, a little analysis of my own psyche. I don't know if that's at all interesting to anyone, but you know, I can toss that out there anyway. doing these full body, or not even full body, but like these larger kind of compositions with more of the body, I guess, it's definitely a little bit hard, a bit harder. And it forces me to manage my time for sure in a different way than just the faces. I think the face portraits to me are a lot more relaxed, a lot more fun. Like these are fun too, obviously, but the face portraits are like chill, you know, like they're very much like no worries. Like even if it's bad, I care a little bit, obviously, but I don't really care that much. It's kind of like, okay, whatever, you know, like we can move on from this. It's just like a single face. But as soon as the whole body gets incorporated, I feel like a pressure to do better for some reason. It's like kind of self-imposed, right? Like no one's telling me, oh, you got to do better when you're doing the whole body. But I feel like I do. I really feel like I do. And that kind of, I don't know, it creates a different energy. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little more excited. I'm a little more kind of manic sounding, at least to me. Maybe it's like not, it doesn't come across over recording, but right now for sure in person, I kind of sound like I just like, I don't know, like snorted a line or something. Like I'm bouncing off the walls over here. I think like not only is that to do with the fact that I'm doing a larger composition, is also I think a little bit because I like get into this mindset where I'm like, I need to be entertaining. Like I need to spice up my vocal tone, you know, like change the way that I say sentences, make myself appealing to the ear. And so that kind of manifests itself sometimes in a way where I'm just like, okay, I gotta speak fast. I gotta get stuff out there, get words out, you know, what you're hearing right now. The product of that mindset is fully on display, on your screen as you're watching this. So it's interesting, very interesting, to be able to discuss the thing that we're also currently observing, you know, interesting. Yeah. I mean, in the end, I think really what these recordings serve as, like, to you, the viewer, is like a kind of the same function a podcast would, right? Like you put it on the background, not necessarily a super mentally stimulating thing, but it's just like kind of background noise. So you feel like you're hearing people. Like I think the sound of a person talking is very comforting because we're like social creatures, right? So hearing that sound is like, oh yes, there's a human here, even though it's like just a trick, like it's just a recording and you know that, but also like you're kind of like, no, it's real in the back of your head. I think a little bit you're trying to convince yourself of that, or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm like a real, I don't know, weirdo, but that's what I think is going on here. Let me try and get a hair color in here. And I think the podcast, you know, niche is one that's very recently, I think, been filled, like even within the scope of the time we've been like creating media as humans. Like for a long time, I think the creation of art was very held in high regard, right? Like you only put something out if you think it's really good, and you only consume media if it's, you know, high level. Like you don't watch a movie that was made by like two guys in their bedroom. Like that's just lame. You have to watch like a full budget production in the theater that you know isn't going to disappoint, because how could it? They had so much money. But I think nowadays perspective has shifted and we're accepting a little bit like the common man kind of a lot of the time creates the best, you know, work. You don't really need the backing of a whole corporation to make the best stuff. And oftentimes the corporation will hinder the quality of a product, you know, that kind of dedication to monetary gain that is necessary in you know, running a corporation. I think it puts a bit of a hamper on the things that you're able to do as a creator. So when we're now in the age of like YouTube and independently created films, independently created things that you can just create wherever, whenever, by yourself or with a small group of friends, right? Like it's a lot more, people are a lot more willing to consume different things, I think, nowadays, is like the end, thesis of what I was kind of rambling on about there, I guess. But yeah, I think I'm going to grab this one here. Yeah, the podcast for sure. Hang on. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Had a little bit of an interruption there. I actually think for the better, because I stepped away, kind of took a breath. I think regained some coherence. I don't know. There's kind of two dueling factions inside my mind, and one of the factions is saying you need to speak fast and get your words out quickly because that's the only way you can be somewhat engaging. And that side of me kind of stems from the fact that I watch everything on YouTube on 2x speed. So I have this vision of being able to talk so fast that it's like I'm in 2x speed, so that I don't need to put my own things on 2x speed, or like not me, because I'm not ideally the target audience, right? But like the viewer won't have to put it on 2x speed because it's already fast enough to be engaging in this world that we live in, where like our attention spans have been flattened to nothing. And so I don't know, I'm kind of trying to decide whether or not it's like worth losing a little bit of coherence for the sake of that engagement factor, or if it's a better idea to speak slowly and coherently and intellectually. Those are the two potential ways for me to go. I think right now I haven't yet decided. I think I've yet to perfect my XQC talk, like up until this point, right? Like I haven't fully mastered the dialect yet. So once I've mastered it, then I can kind of decide, like, is it even worth going fully fledged in on? Not even mastered. Maybe once I've just put in a little practice and can analyze my speech, then I'll have more insight, right? Anyway, what I was saying before was I was trying to do this smooth segue into podcast talk, but it wasn't working out very well, so I kind of just went on a long ramble. But where I was trying to get to was I was trying to talk about like basically my podcast journey as a listener. I'm a big podcast fan. Like I love a good podcast. I think, like, as I was trying to kind of get at before, it's a medium that's very new age, right? Like a podcast is a very modern feeling thing at the very least. I don't know if it is actually like genuinely representative of modern culture, but it feels that way to me. And I think because of that, I have this innate interest in it, regardless of whether or not I actually think the podcasts I'm listening to are fun, because I'm like, oh, this is representative of like a new wave. So it's like automatically interesting to me as someone who's trying to be up with the times kind of thing. I think, I don't know, I started the podcast listening pretty early on in life. Like I very quickly realized I'm the kind of guy that needs somebody like talking in my ear at all times, or else I go crazy. I don't think that's a good thing. Just to make it clear, I do think that's probably like not great, and doesn't say great things about where my mental's at. But it is, I think, the case, unfortunately. Like I do think I go a little bit crazy when I don't have like an earbud in, right? Like not crazy, but you know what I mean, right? Like I feel like something's off and it's kind of harder for me to go about my day. Sadly enough, I think it's probably easily fixable. Like if I just went, without the earbud for like a little bit, like it wouldn't even take that long, maybe like a few weeks or something, I'd like adapt to it. And I'd be like, wait, this is kind of better than before maybe, or maybe, wait, this is kind of the worst thing I've ever done and I want to go back. I can't know until I've tried it, but I don't know that I will ever try it. That's one of the things that might remain on the bucket list forever. I don't think we'll ever get, I mean, maybe I don't want to say never, right? You never want to say never, but then again, in this case, never might be applicable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hate to say it, but sometimes it makes sense. So yeah, the podcast listening started pretty early for me. And ever since I started listening to podcasts, they've been like a pretty prevalent presence in my life, I guess. Like specifically just podcasts where they're not really talking about anything, right? Like just straight banter, straight nonsense. Like maybe on occasion they'll toss in like a current event or something, right? But for the most part, it's like just a couple of friends, a couple of buds, shooting the shit, chatting it up for no particular reason. Those are my favorites. And the initial, I think, podcast that attracted me, like straight off the bat, as soon as I dove into the podcast listening experience, was this show called My Brother and Me. I don't know if anyone actually knows what this is. Like there's like a big internet fan base for this podcast, obviously, right? Like otherwise I wouldn't have found it. But it's hard to tell whether or not they're real people or robots sometimes. Like this sounds like I'm making a joke, but it's kind of not really. Like they're kind of, I don't know, it's a weird place to be. If you've ever been on like the McElroy brothers side of the internet, it's like the people over there are just strange and they get you questioning reality. But my brother and me is basically like these three McElroy brothers. And the premise of the show initially was like they read Yahoo Answers questions and give advice to people online. Like, I don't know, these random strangers on the internet that are asking for help, right? And I think it's a great concept. First and foremost, I think it's a really fun idea. And it works out really well for them because it provides like a great like opportunity for them to just make funny goofs and gaffs and just banter it up. It creates a lot of great situations, a lot of great scenarios for the fellows over there at McElroy HQ. But I think the true draw of the podcast, and this is even a hypothesis, like this is something that I'm like almost 100% confident in as a fact. The draw of the McElroy brothers is not what it is that they're doing, but like the vibe that they bring while they're doing it. And the energy that they have is so unique that if you want that vibe, you have to go to the McElroy brothers. Like there's no other vendor who's selling this particular product. You know what I'm saying? So, to explain their vibe real quick, just to give a quick rundown of what they're all about, they kind of have this boyish, goof-like cartoon energy, and they say words in weird ways, and they have these little fun phrases that they use, and they're kind of like, I forget where they're from. They're from like Virginia or something, I think. So they've got that weird, kind of twang, and interesting, like, I think interesting phrases that are probably a byproduct of their dialect of English, right? Just things that they've heard growing up that make them a little bit weird. I'm like very meta analyzing right now. Like they're kind of just normal guys, but I'm trying to give you as deep of an insight into why I like them as I can. 'Cause I think it's something, I don't know, something interesting to think about, like what draws you to the media that you consume and the media that you constantly come back to, which this is definitely one of those things that has been a constant comeback, or was a constant comeback to piece of media for me for a long time, right? Nowadays, not so much a big listener, but I can pop it on every once in a while. I think what really has become hard for me what's made it hard for me to listen in recent years is the fact that they're constantly talking about references to things that they have seen happening recently, or like, I don't know, tweets that they've read, stuff like that. Like basically, just social commentary on current events kind of thing. But it's not like real, like important current events. It's like silly, goofy current events. And whenever they reference anything, I've never seen it before. Like they'll be like, "Oh, did you see this movie that I thought was kind of funny? Like this kind of movie that flopped in the box office." They like to talk about movies a lot sometimes. Um, and then they'll like after bringing it up, I'll be like, "Oh, they're going to move on from this quick, so I can just keep listening, right?" Like there's just a quick little topic. Like they can't talk about Paul Blart Mall Cop for multiple episodes on end. Like they're gonna stop at some point. I can keep listening even though I've never seen the film. They never stop. Is the crazy thing about the McElroy brothers. They have a persistence like no other, and they just keep going at it no matter how, I don't know, no matter how many fans they lose. I don't think they would ever realize that like maybe people don't like this. I don't even think they would care if they did realize it. So to be honest, I think it's like a just purely a love of the game through which they operate. And I can appreciate a love of the game. I love a love of the game. To be quite honest with you, it's a lovable trait to have in your work. And so eventually I kind of pulled away from the McElroy brothers, just, over time, naturally, I kind of started moving towards other listening experiences. And I kind of had a brief stint, or it was more of a long stint, in like podcast stories where it was like TV shows, right? Like the stories on the level of a TV show and audio production on the level of a TV show where it like sounds like you're almost listening to a show without the visuals. And it's like a story told through actors that don't act on screen but only on voice. It's very interesting to me because it's a very particular medium that I've like it for a long time. I never knew it existed and I never would have thought of it. And when I discovered it, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like this is not like anything I've ever heard before. But I think it's a pretty big thing. There's a solid fan base for it, I believe. At least I was a fan for a little bit. So I listened to a lot of those. Eventually, I became a Rhett and Link Ear Biscuits listener. And nowadays I've come to like a bit of a crossroads, I think, in my podcast journey. Like a point of questioning whether or not I should even go on in the podcast listening experience. And I thought I'd bring it up to you guys just real quick, a little dilemma that you might be able to help me sort through here. Basically, I don't even know if podcasts are worth listening. Like I've been in a long dry streak of not finding a podcast that I've enjoyed, right? And nothing has been exciting to me. Nothing's been catching my eye. And I found everything to kind of be a little bit dull feeling. Every podcast I listen to, it just doesn't have the sauce. It's not really giving me a whole lot of fulfillment listening to it. And I feel like I'm almost wasting my time. But I'm also like, maybe I just have to get used to it. Like maybe the longer I listen, the more it's like comforting. Because that's what I want, right? To be honest, I want that comforting feeling of like, this is a voice that I know and like it feels nice to just listen to in the background because I feel like they're here with me a little bit. Not really, like obviously not, but like I think in my subconscious that's what's going on. Like I'm trying to kind of analyze what might be happening. And the most recent addition that I was just now 2 seconds ago listening to is I've been trying really hard to get into the Theo Von podcast. For those of you who don't know Theo Von, it is like the third biggest podcast on Spotify. I think that's how I found it, was by browsing like the Spotify top podcasts. So I would be amazed probably if no one knew who he was, but he's basically like this, I don't know, Southern freak comedian who like says a lot of weird stuff and has minimal social awareness and seems like kind of an idiot a lot of the time. At least to me, that's how I would describe it. I don't know if that's like how other people see him, but I kind of see him as like this guy who people like listening to because he's like a representation of the common man in many ways and not very, I hate to say it, but not very like intelligent in a lot of cases. Like he'll say some things that you're like, okay, like that's kind of a dumb thing to say, but it's like endearing. Like he's a little goofball and you're like, okay, this guy, he obviously doesn't really know what he's talking about here, but it's kind of cute the way he doesn't know. And it's kind of like, there's a lot of guys I know that are just like this. And it's kind of nice to hear someone who's just a normal guy, like I could imagine talking to this guy out in the wild. Like I would think he was stupid. I'd be like, this guy's an idiot. But I could imagine talking to him out in the wild. So it's like, it's an endearing quality that he has. And I don't know. It's one of those interview focused podcasts where every episode is a new guest and it's like all about, hearing him banter with the guest for each week. And, he just kind of makes a little joke here and there. I can see the appeal for sure of that style of podcast. It's just never been one that it's never been a world that I've been fully invested in. So I don't know. I haven't found that spark with Theo yet, but I think it might be there. I don't know if it's worth pushing through. I guess that's kind of the main question I have is like, should I keep pushing through on this? Or is it like one of those things where if I don't like it already, I'm not going to get liking it, That's, I guess, my main question. And then my other question would be like, is there another podcast that like I'm not aware of that could potentially be my GOAT, Like, is there even a way of finding other podcasts that I don't know about, like a site or something? Because the only way I know right now is like looking on Spotify or YouTube, right? And that will only show me like the most popular. And usually the most popular stuff is like the most uninteresting. Like it's like popular because it's not offensive and like they just say things that people want to hear and are okay with hearing. Nothing that they say is going to be like super exciting because they don't want to make people upset. Right? Because they're like, oh, I'm the number one podcast. I gotta uphold a reputation or whatever. And obviously it's not all like that. But in my experience, a lot of podcasts are like that. And I've had trouble just finding the open, like relaxed, chill vibes, guys, Like the McElroy brothers are really the only ones, and I don't even like them anymore. So I'm finding myself in this weird zone where I don't know what to do with my life. If I don't have a podcast that I can listen to, I don't know what to do with my life. like my entire thing is thrown out of whack, my existence. So I'm just, trying to figure that out. I don't really know what to do. I don't really know where I'm going with everything at this point. It's all up in the air. Yeah, this drawing, I think you noticed, is a little bit, shoddy craftsmanship. And when I say shoddy, I don't mean like, like shorty. Like I mean like shoddy, like SHODDY, like mid-tier craftsmanship, not the best work. And I think that is largely to do with the fact that it was done with a pose that was more complex and a full body kind of thing here that required a lot more intentionality and focus from the artist me that I don't know if I was ready to give today. But some days you got to have experiments that don't go right so that you can have the ones that do make them feel deserved, That was another yap session moment for me. Just wanted to preach to the choir a little bit. I know you guys already, know how the world works probably by this point, and understand basic things like that. Simple concepts of motivation and and value in activities that you engage in type shit. But, thought I'd toss it out there nonetheless. In any case, let's talk about your day. Thank you so very much for your time. I've been Pat Dan. You've been great. Until next time. Kick rocks, pal. Bye-bye.